this. I teach to 80 schools.
Okay, we're on. We're on, Seymour.
Hi.
Gotta get serious now.
Okay.
Seymour Kazimirski, and we're talking today on ThinkTech Talks with Seymour, who is the president of Global Consulting. You'll learn more about that. And we're talking about taking tech to the world, namely, under Global Consulting, but in many other ways too.
Yep.
Seymour, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate what you're doing here in Hawaii, because somebody has got to do something more than tourism, and you have been such an advocate. It's been just fantastic.
Yeah, I want anything beyond tourism.
I know.
And take a moment on that. I'm working now on a movie. In fact, I just submitted the movie to OC16, and also an article about fashion. Is a fashion. Does fashion really hold a candle to tech? I mean, we could cure cancer here and have billions rolling all over us, and that would really infuse our economy. Or we could really get to the end of the play on clean energy. That would have billions rolling all over us, and that would be wonderful. Fashion. But, back in the 60s, fashion was really something, you remember. There were thousands of people employed in these jobs. There were very, very creative companies and people, who were as good as anywhere in the world. And they created a special genre of Hawaii fashion. It came out of the 30s, out of the Hapaholi time, with Webley Edwards and the Moana Hotel. But it was sort of brought current because local people were working in the factories, local people were designing the clothing, and they were using garment elements of design. Then it kind of went south for a while. Now it's reemerging. So that's the kind of stuff I like to cover.
Well, I love it. There's companies here. I don't know if you've heard of Natural Power Concepts.
Sure, I have.
And they're doing wonderful work, just absolutely wonderful work on all sorts of new products that they're introducing to the market. There is a company here called Atlantis Cyberspace. You probably remember Laurent Skelly.
Yeah.
I just spoke to Laurent an hour ago. He's in Florida. They're working with the military, and he started here in Hawaii. There's a lot of things that Hawaii can do. Tourism is great. It really is the big engine, but we need a bunch of little engines too.
And this is really central in ThinkTech's mission. We have to celebrate those little engines. We have to knit them together. We have to show people, yes, it's possible, and they can do those things too.
I agree.
So let's talk about what you've been doing, because you've been doing a lot. You have a cornucopia of things to talk about, Seymour, and I really appreciate that. This is kind of this is your life, Seymour Kazimirski. So tell us the most interesting part is, well, first you came here and established the New York Deli.
In 1976.
Okay, now that's very important.
Well, when I came to Hawaii, I had moved from Canada, and we had sold our flower business in Montreal. And I was looking for a warm place to move to, and we looked here in Hawaii, and I said, where can we get a good corned beef sandwich and a good pastrami sandwich? And somebody said, you got to go to a Chinese place called Lin's Deli. I don't know if you
remember Lin's Deli.
And Lin's Deli put mayonnaise on a terrible piece of rice.
Pastrami was not up to snuff.
Not quite. And I said, that's what I'm going to do here in Hawaii. And we opened up the New York Deli in 1976. There was a radio disc jockey, I'm sure some of your listeners remember, his name was Aku Het Papuli.
Oh, I knew him.
Hal Lewis.
Yeah.
And what I did, I think it was just a move that came to me. We made him up a platter of some lox and whitefish and bagels and all sorts of good deli food, sent it to the station, K59, and he ate it on air. And
with all the sounds.
And he said, who is this guy, Seymour Kazimirski? I've never heard of him. What's he doing? And then the next day I sent him corned beef and pastrami and all that stuff. And he got to meet me, and every day he advertised for the New York. I didn't pay a penny for all of this free advertising. It was terrific. And we opened the deli, and it was very successful, but unfortunately, like a lot of other restaurant businesses, 3 years later it went down the tube.
Well, the truth is, though, the deli does have a place here.
It does.
And there's a lot of people, local people, who have not really been exposed to that on the mainland who like deli. And, the This Is It place at 433 Cook, where I saw you recently. That has a following. It has food that really, I really like that food.
Me too.
It's not as heavy as you would find on Broadway, but it's the same thing.
It's great.
It's healthier for you.
Well, I love it, and I haven't died yet, so I guess the cholesterol hasn't killed me as of now, anyway. But after the New York Deli, I opened up a place called Flora Exotica. And Flora Exotica was silk flowers, and everybody thought I was nuts, just like they thought I was nuts opening up the New York Deli. And Flora Exotica became a very good company here in Hawaii, because we were able to institute at the time with Liberty House, the military exchanges, J.C. Penney's at the time, silk flowers made for people's homes, and they would bring their pillows and they would bring their items that they wanted to match, and we would make the arrangements for them. And we did very, very well with that. And I got a call one day, it's a good story. I got a call one day from Dallas, Texas, which is the headquarters of AFIS, Army Air Force Exchange System.
Sure.
And they called me up and they said, one of our people saw something that you do at Liberty House. Do you think you could do it in our stores? And I said, how many stores do you have? And they said, we have about 400 stores. And they said, could you fly down to Dallas? So I flew down to Dallas, I made a presentation to them, and they said, we'd like to give you a contract for 400 stores. And I looked at them and I said, okay. And then I walked out of there and I said,
oh my God,
how am I going to do that? But believe it or not, we did it, and AFIS is still a customer. We're talking over 30 years. They're still one of my biggest clients. And,
that's great.
I work with them in Asia a lot. We were, Flora Exotica was the first company that brought in artificial Christmas trees with lights on them. And we became the largest supplier of artificial Christmas trees ever, because we were the first guys that did it. So that was great. And then I sold that company in 1993, and I opened up Global Consulting. And I guess that's what I'm really here for. But
I think we've established, beyond any reasonable doubt, that you are a serial entrepreneur.
I am a serial entrepreneur. I think it's in my blood.
I think so.
Just a quick story. How did all this happen? In 1967, I was in my early 20s, and I worked in Montreal at a World's Fair. And these guys asked me, would you work running our bars and our restaurants? Because I had worked my whole life as a kid in bars and restaurants. And I said, sure. And I made, I think I was 21 or 22, I made $50,000 that summer for a young guy.
That's quite amazing.
A lot of money. Yeah. And I followed the World's Fair circuit. So I'm entrepreneurial in spirit, and I've been able to really develop that in my whole lifestyle, basically.
So let me ask you two questions. And this is relevant to trying to evoke entrepreneurism out there among our audience and those kids. We always talk to the kids. We're always talking. Everything we do, we're talking to the kids. So what does it feel like in terms of an emotional reaction, state of mind, when you score, like you scored in the 400 stores? What does that feel like?
It's the first real moments, it's scary, because you have to perform. And I'm the kind of guy that if I say I'm going to do something, I've got to do it. I don't fall back on excuses. Matter of fact, those people who know me, excuses are the nails in the house of failure. They're not in my vocabulary.
Yeah, well, but that's one element of being a good entrepreneur.
Correct.
If you want to, you got to have credibility, and that's the way to have it.
And then one thing that I do, I have a mentoring program for young people who come to see me and they want help. I have a program called SDSP. And SDSP is called Structure, Discipline, Support, and Passion. And those four pieces are the cornerstones of any business, of any relationship, of any house that you want to build. You have to have those four items.
SDSP. One more time. What does that mean?
Structure, Discipline, Support, and Passion. And all of the kids who are listening, who know me already, that's what I preach. We have, in one of my mentoring programs, we have a ladder, and it's called the Ladder of Success. And each step of the ladder includes a structure, discipline, support, meaning people to help you, and passion. That's how you become successful, whether it's in business or even in a marriage or a relationship.
Yeah, well, it's a great formula to follow. But it also shows that you're community-minded. So we've established two things. One is you're a serial entrepreneur, and two, that you're community-minded. We're going to talk more about that. And the third thing is you can do both.
You can. You really can. I found here in Hawaii, people are so willing to help you. When I have to do a program, or I want to help somebody, or I work with a program called Kids Hurt Too. And my program is called You're in Charge. And the You're in Charge program is a mentoring program for foster kids. And we have about 134 kids in the program. And they come to see me every Wednesday for an hour and a half. And we do an 8-week session in which these kids, they'll never lose the trauma they've been in. We know what foster kids have gone through. It's terrible what their background is all about. But we have to get them focused and motivated. And I use my SDSP. And this program gets them focused. It gets them thinking about their future, whether it's education, whether it's business. Whatever they want to do, they can do it if they follow the program. And the program is quite simple because it's within you to decide if you're going to follow it.
Structure, discipline,
support, and passion. And each one is quite self-evident. It's, the idea is that if you build a structure for a business, let's say you want to open up a business, and I've had so many people that come to me. My best example is my daughter, Alana. At 18 years old, I was in China working with a client, and I get an email from her, Dad, I want to open up a makeup business. She's 18 years old. And I said, okay, let's see a business plan. And she knows that I won't work with just talk. You have to have a business plan. Wouldn't you believe it? 5 days later, I get a 22-slide business plan from her that actually had all of the components that I require, which is competitive analysis, executive summaries, all marketing, all the typical pieces of a business plan. And I was so impressed that I said, okay, tell me about your discipline. And she talked about it. She gave me the structure, which is the business plan. Then she told me about how she's going to do it, how she's going to manage school, because she's at UH, how she's going to manage school and manage the makeup business, so she needed very strict discipline. Then we talked about the support. Is she going to have partners? Is she going to have people working for her? Is she going to have people working with her? And she established, she worked with Ann Namba.
Talk about fashion.
Talk about fashion. She worked with Ann Namba doing some of her fashion shows. Alana went to New York to do the Baryshnikov show with Ann. And brought her to New York to do the makeup and so on and so forth. And then after the support, it's the passion. And the passion, of course, is what you need to be able to realize that if you fail, that failure is not an option.
That's my second question.
Go ahead.
So let me isolate that question. My first question was, what kind of state of mind do you have when you succeed?
Yeah.
How joyous is that? How does it ripple through your body or whatever?
We answered it first with the fear, my God, can I do it, and can I really make it? But the second one is an accomplishment feeling that you get. For me, it's never been about how much money there is. It's been about doing what you said you can do.
So it's not like winning a game or scoring.
Not at all.
Or having a sort of a win-lose kind of scenario where you win, the other guy maybe not. It's more like achieving what you set out to do. It's raw achievement.
Correct, for me.
Yeah.
And I find that if you focus only on how much money can I make, you're losing the value of what you're doing. Because I always believe that if you can do something that you love to do, it's not work. Yeah. And that's been said by many people. Yeah. And I feel that if you take the passion and you make it your purpose in your work, you've really achieved something, and then it becomes great. And what I'm doing now, which we're going to talk about later, obviously, is my passion. And it's really been it's a wonderful thing for me.
I understand, and I think it's worth thinking about that, because you're actually working for yourself at the end of the day. You're working to bring yourself into harmony with your own expectations. Anyway, so the second question is, what's your state of mind when you fail? Because every entrepreneur, every serial entrepreneur, I mean, look at the New York delicatessen, for example. How do you feel, and how do you cope with that?
The instant that you know that you have to give up. And believe me, I have a wall of winners and I have a wall of losers.
Which wall is bigger, Seymour?
Well, as long as there's one more on the wall of winners, I'm happy. But there's no entrepreneur in the world that can tell you that he has only successes, and he's not telling you the truth. Because you have to have losses. Yeah. You have to have losers, because without the losers, you don't learn really how to manage the winners. Right? I think I look at failure it's not an option. Failure it's a step in the ladder of success. And for me, I use that term quite a bit because when we're doing mentoring, people are not sure what they want to do. So, well, that didn't work, so I don't want to do anything anymore. That's not the right thing to think about. What you want to think about is the potential and the possibilities of doing something better. For instance, if you're a chef, until you find the right recipe to put it out in front, Roy Yamaguchi will tell you, he's tried 10, 15, 20 different recipes until he finds the right one. And that's what business is all about. But you have to make sure that the costs involved with doing those steps to finding the right product that you're going to sell, that you have to make sure is controlled.
It's all in a larger crucible somehow, both the failures and the successes.
Of course.
Seymour, we're going to take a short break. Just a very short break. This is Seymour Kazimirski. He's the president of Global Consulting, which brings tech to the world, among other things, and good things. Not just tech, but things of the heart, if you will. And we're talking today on ThinkTech Talks. I'm Jay Fidell. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidell, founder of ThinkTech Hawaii. We are a digital media nonprofit that covers things that matter to tech, energy, diversification, globalism, and progress for our state, the state of Hawaii. We broadcast on community television and on Oceanic Cable Channel 16. We also stream our shows and interviews live on the internet as both radio and video, and of course we post them here on YouTube. We collaborate with the Hawaii Venture Capital Association to present monthly luncheon programs on subjects of interest to the business community. And we write for the Honolulu Star Advertiser. ThinkTech works hard to raise public awareness in Hawaii. Check out our website, thinktechhawaii.com, and come to our YouTube channel, ThinkTech Hawaii. We hope you support our mission and that you like our work. I'm Jay Fidell. Mahalo. We're back, we're live, we're having a good time here on a Friday afternoon. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about, Seymour. No kidding.
I think so, too.
Seymour Kazimirski, president of Global Consulting, telling us about his life and his lessons and sharing good thoughts with us. So I'm going to move on to tech because this is about bringing tech to global business, if you will, what you have done. And notably, you've been involved in RFIDs, which I always thought were kind of magic. I still don't understand exactly how they work.
It's not magic. I'll explain it. It's very simple. Well, you need a little bit of history. Once I opened up Global Consulting Company in the mid-'80s, I received a call from a veterinarian in California. And he says, I understand that you can help manufacture products in China. And I said, yes, that's one of my expertise. So he said, I import very expensive birds, and I don't want to tattoo them because they lose their value. And somebody told me that if you put a microchip into the bird, you can scan the number and that'll give you the identification. I went to Germany and I worked with Hubert Meyer at Temic. And
what was Temic?
Temic was a company, it was a division of Telefunken. Do you remember?
Okay, sure.
Radio
okay,
people?
So it's a high-tech company.
Very, very, very good company. And they developed a microprocessor attached to an antenna, coated it in a piece of glass, then put a pyrroline coating around the glass, made it the size of a grain of rice. That's all it is.
How is it powered?
It's powered by, it's actually inert until you scan, and then the scan takes the RFID number off the microchip, brings it back to the scanner, and you can read a 13-digit code. And
it's still black magic.
Yeah, it's not. It's. I mean, I won't go into too much detail. It's 125 kilohertz. It's a very simple way of identifying a product at close range. Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Stoddard, the client in California, he started injecting dogs and cats to be able to identify them.
Into their skin.
Yeah, you put it right here in the nape of the neck, mm-hmm. and it doesn't hurt the animal.
Yeah. Just like a hypodermic.
And it doesn't hurt the animal at all, and it stays there because of the pyrroline coating, so it doesn't travel throughout the body.
Yeah.
I brought it to Hawaii, and I showed it to our society here, and they loved the idea. And we actually got a law passed in Hawaii that every animal that's adopted has to have a microchip in it. And so now this law in Hawaii was the first or the second in the nation, I think between Washington and Hawaii, and it boomeranged after that. And then states all over the United States, Canada made it a law, and he has done extremely well because of it. And there's over 10 million animals that have been tagged now and are read by a scanner.
So, some questions. So this is law in effect right now in Hawaii?
Oh yeah, right here in Hawaii.
I have a puppy. Why is my puppy not
Because unless you adopted it from the Humane Society, you didn't
okay,
have to.
okay.
But I advise it, because if the puppy is lost and people call the Humane Society, there's a puppy in my driveway, they'll come with the scanner and they'll scan the animal. If he has a number on him, they'll go to my database.
Find right away.
And they'll find it right away, instantly. We have found over, if I don't know the exact number today, but something like 12,000 animals have been returned from long distances, all over the United States, all over Canada and Europe, and et cetera.
So there's a national database, or
It's a national database, and now there are several companies that do it because the patents ran out after the 17 years. And
Oh.
so there's many, many companies that do it.
when did you get started with this then?
This is in the mid-'80s.
Okay.
So by the 90s, it was going full bore. Then in 2003, a Canadian company came to me and they said, "We know you're the guy who put this microchip thing for dogs and cats together. Why can't we do it for large animals?" Because in Canada, they have huge herds. The only thing is you can't get this close. 6 inches is about the read range, sometimes 3 inches, to the tag, which is inside the animal. So we had to devise something where the RFID tag was bigger, which means it could
For a
not be
larger
injected
animal needs a bigger
for
one?
a larger animal so that we can scan it from a longer distance.
Oh, sure.
So we developed it. We opened up a company called Advanced ID. We went public. I was chairman of the board of the company, and we recruited investors to do it. And we made several different tags in Asia that could be put on sheep, herd animals, which would be cows, pigs, for
This is huge.
instance.
This is huge.
Huge, all over the
covering
world.
all of animaldom. I mean, domestic animaldom.
But it's all over the world.
Yeah.
So we had test trials done in Thailand because, tests in Hawaii are too small and tests on the mainland are prohibitive because of the laws, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we did tests in Thailand, and Thailand adopted it. We went to Taiwan. David Pang, one of our guys, went to Taiwan, and they wanted it for pigs because you can't get close to a wild pig, and they want to be able to take a scanner and go dit, 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 and register it. And all of this cost millions of dollars, obviously, to bring together. And it took us 3 to 4 years to get the technology to the point where we were ready to go. I don't know if you remember, there was a mad cow scare.
Sure.
And I got a
Is
call
that over?
I got a call from the Wall Street Journal. And the Wall Street Journal said, your stock has gone from, I think at the time it was 27 to 114 or 115. What's going on in your company? And it was like 3 in the morning. Here, I had no idea that the stock had gone so crazy. And the mad cow scare had erupted, and people were saying they're going to have to kill all the animals in their herds because they don't know where the animals went. Did they go to this feedlot or did they go to that feedlot? There was no traceability from birth to slaughter. And in Canada, we had set up a system with a couple of the major players up there, and the word got out that there is going to be an RFID system by Advanced ID, and the stock went. We weren't anywhere near ready for that.
You didn't even know.
We didn't even know. But I was called to go to Washington, and we met with the FDA just to show you America's way of doing business. And they had a number of people there, and they were all excited about it. And what I had done, I had made badges of the tag, and I put a badge on every single one of them, set up a computer with a screen, and I had my scanner, and I went do, and all of the numbers popped up, and everybody said, that's exactly what we need. So my eyes saw dollar signs first,
Sure.
obviously, because I wanted to satisfy my shareholders. They had put up a lot of money for this. So I saw the dollar signs, and then the FDA chairman at the time was a woman, I can't remember. She says, Mr. Kazimirski, we will give you our blessing. I said, oh my, that must be terrific. Then she says, all you have to do, I figured what could be done? You have to go to all 50 states get every single Department of Ag from every state to agree to it. Then you have to go to all of the associations of cattle, which there were like 600 of them.
He wasn't doing you any favors, no.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. Why? Is it logistically, or was there a substantive resistance?
There was no way that we could get this all done and get everybody on board, because the federal government didn't want to pay for it. The states didn't want to pay for it. The farmers didn't want to pay
Wanted
for
to be
it.
private. They wanted you to do it.
Of course, and of course we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So in the end, through all of the ramifications of this, plus entry into many other businesses, we went into the gas tank business. They wanted to identify gas tanks from the street, to be able to identify the gas tank, to go Bing, for instance. Tires, we worked with Bridgestone. I flew all over the world. We went to Bridgestone, to Michelin, to France. We went into South America, because tires that are stolen are not identified correctly. So if it's a tire that's stolen, or a counterfeit tire made to look like a
Bridgestone, whatever.
Bridgestone or Michelin tire, and they're blamed for a fire, for instance.
They can say, oh, gee,
horrible.
that's really
So
valuable.
they needed to have identification. So where's RFID today? Advanced ID just didn't have enough money, and I put it on my wall of losers. And very difficult, because so many of my friends had invested in it. I had obviously invested a lot of money into it.
Think come back?
I don't think so. It was very, very hard at the time. But we were ahead of the time, because today RFID is so prominent. Logistics, inventory management. It's the cost has been driven down. Victor Sun in China, a company called Tatfuk, one of my very good friends, and I've worked with him on many projects. He is making that tag that cost me $1.40 at the time. It's now approaching a nickel, 5 cents.
Oh, down,
Well,
down,
because
down.
you see it in everything. If you go to a hotel today and you don't have to put the key in the slot, you just have to put it close to it. That's an RFID tag that we originally developed.
Have patents on it?
Gone already.
Okay.
If you go to, if you go through subway systems, for instance, all over Asia, in Europe, you don't have to take your wallet
The
out.
octopus card.
The octopus card, you can walk by, and it'll read your card, deduct the
You
amount
changed
from
the world, Seymour.
No, unfortunately, I did not. But RFID
You gave them
is-
a gift.
Yes, RFID has changed the world when it has come to identification. That I think RFID will be replacing the barcode when the price becomes so efficient that almost every item will have it. Because what retailer doesn't want to know when an item goes through the cash register exactly how many is left, instead of a barcode, which is the same number, right? It's the same unique number, but it's on every single Coca-Cola.
Right, you can have unique right down to the
Unique.
last item. It's all unique.
Exactly.
You
And
can,
then the
it's any
logistics-
stretch of digits you want.
Correct. Well, we can go right now, we can have 1,400 characters. That's a lot of information that you can put on a tag. And that'll tell history, that'll tell where it was made, what port it went through. for
Permutations
instance.
and combinations are
It's huge.
infinite.
And now, RFID with GPS makes it even better. You've seen the UPS ads, perhaps, where they don't know where they are, and they get a call and they say, you are here and here. That's an RFID tag hooked into a GPS. So now, clients of import goods can find out exactly where their product is at any single moment.
Seymour, I'm getting a headache.
Sorry,
The possibilities are extraordinary, and we're not nearly done with them.
I don't think so.
But we're going to have to move on for a short break. That's Seymour Kazimirski, President of Global Consulting, and you were starting to see exactly the kinds of things. This is all coming together, Seymour. We're talking about taking tech to the world, which in fact Seymour has done here on ThinkTech on Friday. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, I'm Steve Petranek, editor of Hawaii Business Magazine, and I'm going to be part of Newsmorphosis 3, a look at online news in Hawaii. And along with me there will be Patty Epler of Civil Beat and HuffPost Hawaii, Malia Zimmerman of Hawaii Reporter, Jared Kuroiwa of KHON, and moderating us all is Howard Dykes of Hawaii News Now. If you want to know how Hawaii it gets its news now and will be getting it in the future, you need to be at Newsmorphosis 3. That's at 11:30 on October 24th at the Plaza Club. See you then.
We're back, we're live, and during the break, Seymour explained some more to me about RFIDs, which I'd like to put on the record if you don't mind, Seymour.
Sure.
So I take this grain of rice device, it's probably smaller than that even yet now, which has 1,400 characters or more.
Not that one, but because if you
Well, that
want
was
more
the-
information, it's bigger.
More information, bigger, but
But take the one for dogs and cats.
okay,
first.
dogs and cats.
So I'll explain how it works.
It's got to see through the skin of the animal. How does it do
Right.
that?
When you press the scanner button, the radio wave goes right to the tag, picks up the number from the tag, and displays it on the screen. Then it can be downloaded directly into a database, and everybody is happy. We find the animal, we know exactly where it is. It's exactly the same for the bigger tags that are developed today. For if you go, for instance, for your car, and you now have keyless entry, that's an RFID signal that goes between the tiny reader that's in the door to your key.
It's the same technology.
Same technology.
Now, how does the GPS get into that?
Well, GPS is for logistics. So one of the biggest issues we had is people wanted to be able to track merchandise on containers wherever they are. So they need to know exactly where it is, when it's going to land at a DC, how many people they're going to need to unload the merchandise. Very, very important items for people who are in the logistics business. With GPS, they put a GPS tag on the outside of a 40-foot container, for instance. All of the information from the individual boxes that are inside the container, you can have 200 boxes in the container, those all have RFID tags. They're all loaded through the GPS and go to the sender or to the receiver.
Oh, so it's sort of it's transmitting
Yeah.
whatever is inside, outside,
yeah.
and it's sending the location of the container.
Immediately.
Now, you know,
Real time.
this may be the same thing, but I remember not too long after 9/11, there was a whole move by the maritime industry and the U.S. Coast Guard to try to identify every container in the world to be sure that you didn't get one in your harbor, that was explosive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they ever finished that project. You know about it?
I know that they didn't finish the project because so far what we're hearing in the RFID business is that RFID and GPS are going to be commingled now. So you'll be able to buy your information as one piece of information. So I don't think that has happened yet, and I don't know if it ever will. I know that RFID in essence is becoming a part of the U.S. government. All of your passports will have an RFID tag in them, so you don't have to, you don't have to go through all of the inspections and all that stuff. You'll be able to just pass it over the wand, and all of the information on the RFID tag will be the information all about you. Dog tags for the military, for instance, will have RFID tag in them for the same reason. You can have your all your medical information.
Everything you'd want right there.
Can be on the RFID tag.
Now, when you add the internet to this, I mean, the power of the internet, which is growing while we speak, you have the Internet of Things. Have I heard that term? We did a program on that not too long ago. And so when you take the RFID that you were working with, as enhanced by the GPS, and then you put the internet around it, what you get is the control of unique objects around the world. You can identify any unique object anywhere.
On real time.
On real time. Thank you.
So you don't have to wait to get the information. It is there waiting for you.
And you were at the very beginning of this continuum.
We were just with dogs and cats. I wouldn't say it was at the beginning, but
Well, it has to
we
start
were
somewhere, Seymour.
Well, I don't take credit for the whole RFID business, but I would say that we started with a unique product that developed into many, many other products after that.
It was the vision.
Yeah.
So tell us, where else did the vision go for you in technology and delivering it globally?
Well, after AID went down, and it's on my wall of winners and losers. Winners because I felt very good about it. Losers because I was so sad for all of us as investors. But I decided to expand the global consulting company into helping businesses grow. And I took several businesses here in Hawaii, for instance, around the world. I had Asian companies who wanted to open up businesses in U.S. I had U.S. companies who wanted to open up businesses in Asia. And after, I was there since 1980, so it's a long time. And after 30 years, you get to know a lot of people over there. I'll give you an example. When they wanted to develop a battery for cars, I had an inventor came to me in Nevada. His name is Mustafa Simentek. He has a company called Eclipse Nanomed. And Mustafa had developed a hockey puck. Everybody knows the size of a hockey puck. Plugged it into the car and it ran the whole car. He used
Including the
ceramic.
engine.
Yes.
It's an electric car.
Correct.
Okay.
He used a ceramic capacitor, which is unheard of. And he wanted to find a way to get this product made. Well, to get through all the rules and regs, a la story I told you about with my advanced ID.
Agriculture, yeah.
It's almost impossible. I brought him to Asia, to Victor, and Victor started working with him on electric car batteries. And they're still working on it. It is absolutely amazing. Electric car batteries very soon will be extremely efficient, not as expensive as they are
Whoa.
today. It's happening.
This is,
It's happening very
that is
quickly.
really, we have to continue the conversation. There's not going to be enough time here. But when you talk about electric car batteries, you're really talking about electric batteries for renewable energy,
Correct.
batteries that will act as storage facilities.
For your computer, for everything.
For everything.
Yeah.
And so-
the length of time, the capacitor, as you know, on a battery is critical because of leakage. It's critical for the amount that it can store. And if anybody can find a way to store more power inside the battery safely, because if you don't want somebody with a heart pacemaker,
True.
So you have to be very careful with it. But what they're working with in China is way ahead of what we're seeing right now.
You're involved.
I'm only involved with Victor because he's a friend and a client, but he's working on it, and his robotics, everything that he's doing is powered by this new electric battery that he's putting out. And I think it'll be commercially viable with all of the rules and regs here we have in the States, maybe in 3 to 5 years.
Ooh,
I see it.
this is really, that's disruptive. I've always said that if we could come up with, the guy who comes up, and I quote myself, the guy who comes up with a small, high charge battery device that could store renewable energy is going to make Bill Gates look like a piker.
Well, in Israel, Israel, as you know, is a hotbed for high tech.
Yes.
And I went to visit, I have 2 friends there that are in the high tech business. And we talked exactly about that. And they are doing it, they are developing it, they realize it's a huge, huge opportunity. If somebody can figure out how to make that capacitor more efficient, smaller, last longer, give you more miles in the car, longer life in your watches and all that kind of stuff. It's happening.
That's great.
So that's another one that's good.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. That's really opens new doors for my thinking anyway. You have the watch. What is the watch about?
This is another client.
Okay,
I don't know.
hold it a little
Can
higher.
you
That's
see
it. You've got it.
There you go. This is a watch. This is a prototype, so it's just not finished yet. It does the time first, of course. It is also a telephone. It's got wireless, and it's got connectivity. When you flash it like this, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a heart monitor, a blood pressure monitor, a pedometer, and a temperature monitor. So all of this can be on your wrist, and then you can schedule it to work. You go into the settings for it. You can schedule it to download all of this information every half hour, every whatever you want. Besides being a watch and a telephone, it has a GPS monitor. So when you press the GPS number right here, it'll tell you where you are anywhere in the world.
Pioneer Plaza. Does it say that?
No, not yet, because we're
That's
in
where
here.
it broadcasts Pioneer Plaza.
But it's really pretty amazing.
It's a short
This
story
yeah.
that Oceanit, down the block,
Sure.
across the street, was developing this hospital device
Mm-hmm.
where the patient lays on it, and it reads those vital signs. The problem was for them, blood pressure. It was very hard to do that. It sounds like you licked that problem.
Well, yeah, because in the back here, I don't know if you could see it, there's an expandable piece here that pushes out and it goes on your wrist and it's able to measure it. This should be on the market from Exmovir, I think in the spring of next year. It's going to be sold in Canada with Rogers, in the States with Verizon and AT&T. It's now being sold in Africa for miners. Because as the miners go into the mine, they want to be able to measure their vitals in case something should happen to them. So it's got everything on there, and they can measure every 20 minutes, every half hour, whatever you want, send it to the database, and somebody can do the monitoring.
Needs an RFID so when people shouldn't rip it off, It's this is light also,
Yeah, it's very light, yeah.
compared to the functionality of it.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left, and I do want to cover this. Now you're getting to see what Seymour Kazimirski is about.
Well, no,
many things.
Yeah, there's a.
But we missed one
But you
part.
haven't my passion yet. You haven't talked about my passion.
That's why I want to reserve a little time for that.
What I really love to do, and what has been close to my heart for the last few years. Look, I've been very lucky, obviously, and it's. I've been able to make my mark in business and do what I want to do in business, and I continue to do it, and it's a pleasure. But I have 4 programs that I work with.
Okay.
One is called Make 'em Smile. You're wearing a pin. I don't know if they can see it on there.
Wait. There you go. There it is. It's there.
Okay. Make 'em Smile is a program that I developed with Jimmy Borges and with Leah Bernstein from Mountain Apple.
Oh, sure.
And it's a program where we bring musicians to the hospitals, and they play for the kids, because music is so healing and it's such a wonderful thing. And I can't tell you, I go as often as I can, because I feel good to see these kids. They're smiling, to see their parents. Let's face it, every kid that's in a hospital is not there for a good reason. So here we give them a few minutes of somebody playing a ukulele or a guitar and singing to them. Or Mailani comes, who's wonderful, and she comes with one of her dancers. Some of the guys come with 2 or 3 other people. We're doing it at Capilani, we're doing it at Shriners every week. Twice at Capilani, once at Shriners. We're opening up Tripler, and we're opening up Kaiser in January. So I need more musicians. Right now we have 22, which is wonderful. Another program that I have is called You Are in Charge, and that's mentoring foster kids. I think the state doesn't do enough for them. They kick them out at 18 and all that kind of stuff. And I sent you a pic of
I saw a very touching
groups.
picture of your group.
And
it was the kind of
those.
picture that you look at, and every time you look at it, you see more, you understand more.
See more of the very.
Oh, sorry. It's not intentional.
It's a great program, because we're able to help these kids focus and get them to understand that the future is bright. And we do the SDSP there. That's structured, discipline, support, and passion. And they understand that ladder if you go up the ladder. And another thing that I do here in the community is I lecture on the Holocaust. This is my mom's book that I brought for you. I don't know if you can see that. Is that
your mother is a survivor?
Yes, she is.
She was in a camp.
Yes.
What camp?
Well, my father and my mother, they were in the ghettos actually in Poland, and they escaped. It's all in the book. You can
Escape,
read
what a
the whole
story.
Yep.
So much has been written about that ghetto in Warsaw.
Yes, they were in Warsaw and in Lwów, which is a Polish town. And I saw her lecture, and I saw how she was able to communicate tolerance and be able to communicate the ability to make people understand that we mustn't allow dictators and demigods, people who take advantage of other people. We've got to stand up and fight. So I decided, after my mom passed away, she was here and lectured to I think close to 10,000 people with all the schools and the military and Punahou.
Do you have video?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And I decided to carry that torch. So for the last 7-8 years, I've been lecturing to 80 schools, universities, private schools, or Rotary clubs, organizations, and I just tell the story of my mother, and it's very, very touching, but more important, it makes people understand that the bullying situation that we see today has to be defeated. We've got to get people to understand. Tolerance is what it's all about.
Yeah.
The last thing that I do, which I love, it's a mentoring program for young people coming out of college or in college who don't know what they want to do with their life.
Plenty of those actually these days.
Unfortunately, I'm in favor of going to college, but I believe college should be much more focused, and people in college should have a direction, not just a liberal arts degree. Or I really believe they should, by the 3rd or 4th year, they should know what they want to do, or at least try something that they want to do. Because by the time they come to see me, what do you want to do?
I don't know.
And that is unacceptable to me. So that's one of the mentoring programs, and I've had maybe 100 kids who have come to me from UH, mainly because I do the lectures on the Holocaust. They come to talk to me. I tell them that they can come and talk to me about careers and achievement and all that stuff. So I get those guys coming. And
that's a great mitzvah, because you define the person's life.
Correct.
So what do you tell them when they come to you and say, I don't know?
Usually I do my SDSP. I mean, this is old, this is not new, but it gets them focused. So if they understand that there's a structure and a discipline, there's lots of support systems that you can depend on, and then you find your passion. And if you can find your passion, if you want to work, I have one of the young people, very, very smart guy, came out of Stanford with a magna cum laude, he's a Hawaii boy, and he came here and he wasn't sure what he wants to do. And I said, do you want to do business? Well, I said, and I give him homework. And everybody knows in my foster groups and everything that they have to do 5 things every week. Not very big things, but you have to identify part of your structure.
That structure.
You have to identify 5 things you want to do. They identify the 5 things they want to do, and then we bring it down to 3, to 2. Then we decide, okay, if you want to do that, by the 3rd or 4th time I meet with them, then let's set up a plan. And then we set up a plan of how to do it. In his case, he wanted to do international business. I said, you want to go to China? He said, I would love to. I said, learn Chinese, come back and see me when you're done.
So you're not telling him what to do.
No.
You're telling him, you're having him identify that, and then you're telling him how to do it.
Because I can't tell what they really want to do. They have to figure it out. They have to take all these ideas, put it into a funnel, and in the end of the funnel, they will come up with what they want to do.
It's a great mitzvah, you know. And what's interesting is on both sides of the equation you've described here today, there's all this this life and vitality and curiosity and learning and all good stuff. But I think it's very nice that you've gone into the mitzvah business. It's another business with the P, SDPS, let me say it again.
Yeah.
SDSP.
Structure, discipline, support, and passion.
Make a note. Seymour Kazimirski, president of Global Consulting. We're talking about taking tech to the world, but it's much more than that. Which leads me to one thought I want to just drop on you is you have to come back, Seymour. There's much more.
It'll be my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Aloha.